We are God, and we are coming for you, Mr. Nichols. This one goes out to my friend, my good friend, Jess Carlozzi, back in Massachusetts. I think she started watching a few of these, and she subscribed today, which was really exciting. Thank you a lot. You tramp, you trollop. Now that's a friend. Somebody can call it dirty, filthy, no good, whatever, and they're fine with it. You know, that's what I miss about like living in Massachusetts. Like having friends like that, you can just be terrible to, and they know you're just messing with them. Like I don't know. It's tough. I try to make those connections sometimes down here, and people are like, "What? I'm sorry." I'm like, no, I'm just fucking with you. Anywho, this is a fun little story. This is a fun day. I went into work. I used to work at Jordan's Furniture in Avon. I know I'll put another link up here because they deserve props. Great company, great company. This day, I knew I was on my way out there. I don't know. I needed to move on and do something else, I think. I just decided, oh, I think my friend Jess was getting off at 5, and I can't remember exactly how the story goes. I can't remember if she called me or what was going on. Just because usually I used to pick her up and then would go back to Massachusetts. I mean, not Massachusetts, to Taunton, and Corey and Brad and Brian, and people would come over and would all hang out. But I was in Avon, she was in Brockton. So this day she was getting out at 5, and we had talked about, I don't know how it came up, going to the Spidergate Cemetery. I'm like, why don't we just go now? She's like, are you working? Yeah, so what? So I have a pager, in-house and out-house pager. And so if there's an emergency, it'll go to the outhouse. Well, this trip went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. We were going to try to find Spidergate Cemetery. That's right. There's a place. I'll put a link in the comments, or if they have anything on YouTube that's of interest, I'll put it up here. Spidergate Cemetery is this. It's in Gloucester. I can't remember the name of the town. If you look it up, you'll find it. Leicester, Mass. And it's tough to find. Apparently, it's not marked anywhere. You have to find it by using landmarks, which is pretty cool to do, by the way, if you're good at that sort of thing. I, on the other hand, am not so good at that thing. So we find ourselves like 3 hours later, low on gas. I'm supposed to be working. So we go to a gas station, we're going to ask. We're just like, you know what, let's just ask. So we stop. I think I had $5 to put in the tank or something. Back then, that was a lot of money back then. And so this attendee comes out. It's a full serve. I miss that too. Although I don't like interacting with people, so I'd probably self-serve. He comes over to the window. He's got to be 900 years old, this gentleman, missing a lot of teeth. If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't holding a cat, but the way he spoke made me think that he was doing this the whole time. What was it? He was doing something. Like, we asked him, hey, do you know where Spidergate Cemetery is? We've been looking for it for the last 3 hours. And I'm like trying to look over at Jess, like, is this happening right now? Is this really happening? And he was freaky. He was something out of a horror movie, man. Whew. We got the hell out of there as quickly as we could, but another attendee or someone came over and was just like, yeah, you gotta go down here, you take a right at the boulder or something, and you have to park your car on the side of the road, but don't leave it there long because cops go by there all the time. Then you have to go into old Quaker territory, an old Quaker graveyard, which the gate is like a spider web, something you'd see in the Drow, the Underdark, Menzoberranzan, and whatever. not that intricate. Or at least I hope, like, in my mind, it's so much more intricate there. If it was there, the way that this gate looked, it would be real cheesy. It was just like, you know, windy bars. And you could open it and go in. And, well, here's the thing. We finally find it. We find the exact marker. He's like, you'll see this yellow set of yellow sidewalk or something, or like, oh, there's these pipes or something like that. And you go there and you have to go into the woods there to get to it. Now, it had to have been fall or winter, because I remember it was really cold, and I parked the car and I go to get out. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm not going out there. Now, this has probably been, at this point, about 5 hours, maybe, by the time we actually found it. 5.5 hours. We're about about 45 minutes outside of my work. At this point, I'm pretty much just going to go back so that I can punch out. Which, that was a bad day. I was so terrified something was going to go wrong or something, and I'd have to get back to work. Well, we finally get there. We finally were at the marker. I'm like, what do you mean you're not getting out? I'm like, you're getting out. This just took us like almost 6 hours to find this thing. You're getting out. And she got out of the goddamn car. I was so mad. I was like, and I wasn't going alone, and she didn't want to stay in the car alone. And at one point, I think I shut the car off and I ran out into the darkness. And I just waited like a minute or two. And I came back and we left, and I went back to work, punched out, went home. We probably went back to my house where Carol and Brad and Corey are there, and Brian, and we're ready to play some Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk, like 1, 2, and 3. That time period, like when those games came out once a year in October, every year. Oh, I'd be like, Brad, what are you doing tonight? Boom! We'd be playing Tony Hawk, swearing, saying the most vile stuff you could possibly imagine, just screaming at the... Corey would get so mad, he would bite the controllers. Ah! I'd be like, dude, don't break the controller. We only got 2. And we had like some ghetto other controller, which was terrible. For the Dreamcast, that's right. Then on, I think, PlayStation, or it might have been PlayStation 2. Dreamcast was a great system. I need to get one of those again. I'm working on a retro setup here, but it's tough finding adapters and stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work. It's a real pain in the ass, I gotta tell you. But yeah, so that was the SPIDERGATES Cemetery story. It was a fun ass day, I gotta say. Got lost, got terrified. Then we're like less than like 1/8 of a mile from the destination we've been seeking all day or all afternoon. And nope, she's not getting out of the car. Chicken. I live for that fear sometimes. You know, I know in the last video I was talking about how fear grows and creeps up on you when you have kids, when you get a little bit older. Well, there's still times that I live for that fear. Like, I love having nightmares. I've said this in another video too, where it's just absolutely just terrifying nightmare, and waking up and being like, just for those few seconds when you're like, oh my god, is this really happening right now? And you're like, oh wait a minute. Okay, I'm in my room, but you're still a little scared. Oh, I don't know. Like, I feel alive in those moments. I know that's really corny and maybe even typical to say or something, but fear really does just, whew, get the blood pumping, you know? Fear. It's a funny thing, Emotions are a funny thing. How did we attain emotions as a society, as a people, as individuals? Emotions. That's one we're gonna have to tackle. Where do emotions come from? Or is it just... Hey, speaking of people, did you hear about this new planet they found today? Apparently it's close enough to its sun that it would be able to be habitable by other, like, another race, but like we could possibly survive there. Obviously it's so far away, you know, we'll never see it in our lifetime, but eventually maybe people will eventually live there. That's pretty crazy to think that, but it's inevitable. I mean, it's the next step. you know, if you were to look like 10,000 years in the future, either we're all just dead because we screwed up that bad that we weren't able to fix things, or we find a new form of propulsion. Really, that's what it breaks down to. Because fuel, I don't think is an issue, or even power, because you can use the the power of stars and so on and so forth to charge huge batteries, on top of having fuel, on top of having a multitude of backups. Plus, when you're on a trajectory, you're basically in that moment. Like, you can't move faster than you can move. So I think it's going to take some kind of warp drive, so to speak. I wouldn't say warp drive, because I hate Star Trek. I hate it. I've always hated it. Everything about it. Hate Star Trek, okay? I've watched a lot of Star Trek. The Next Generation, the few episodes that I did see, seemed like they could be enjoyable, but it's such a, it's like this is the difference for me between Star Wars and Star Trek. We really got off course, but I'm going to go with this, because I'm in a nerdy mood, and I think nerdy is fun and really entertaining to talk about. Shit, I totally forgot what we were talking about. Emotions. I hate when this happens. Where do emotions go? This planet that they found that's habitable? Propulsion. Yeah, there's no way until we find a new form of propulsion and safely will we be able to ever get to any planet like that. Like, because it would probably take, it might be just a light year, but isn't that like, what is that? How many? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I have no idea. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I know the mileage. But like a light year versus a regular year, it's like 1,000,000 years or whatever it is. I'll look it up. I'll find out. Or I won't. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is we need to travel a lot faster safely. And from point A to point B, you need a navcom. And the navcom has our coordinates. I don't know how many will catch that reference. I know Corey will if he's watching it. That's probably about it. It's a song. It's a song. Sweet Chewy. It's funny, I have a dog named Chewy now. I think about that song a lot more often now. I was going to do that commentary. Actually, I did film a commentary, a voiceover for that live performance from the living room on the fiscal year before it was 99, because the whole Y2K was coming up. And it's one of my favorite performances of it, and I did a voiceover because it's, I mean, if you think I'm talking about stuff nerdy now, on stage I was talking about stuff really nerdy. Maybe I'll post the video, but it's not going to have the audio is the only problem, because I kept pausing the audio so that I could talk to the camera. But trying to do that in Premiere, which isn't hard to do, it's still, the problem I run into is that it happens too often, so it would take me like so long to break it down. I'll have to just do it legit, straight up. It's gonna have to be a scripted overview, a voiceover of a song, because well, I can run a video and just run the music, and I can just, the hard thing is I have to use my headphones to hear it, so I can't really hear myself, or it echoes, I believe, and then I have to remember other microphones and cameras, and I don't know. I really don't know. Anywho, Sweet Chewy. Yeah. That's the song I want to share on here, because it's my favorite song from Lunch Meat Circus up to a certain point, until like when Michelle joined the band. That was still my favorite song. We played a lot of good songs. Red 6. That was a great song. I think I may have a recording of that. I'll have to see what I can do about I don't know if you guys even want to hear some of that music. Like, some of it's really good. I think Lunch Meat Circus wrote some phenomenal songs. Like, I just like, yeah, I'll put them on here because I think they're worth sharing. I think there's great songs. Maybe I'll do like a whole just other playlist of just songs. What can I do for a picture? What should I do? I mean, should I just record myself listening to it? I don't know. I guess that could be alright. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I'll take the ball and I'll run with it. Be nice to see the Red Sox, getting a little better this year. I'd like to see the Patriots maybe win this year. I don't know. Who knows? Sports. Funny thing. Never cared about sports growing up. Now that I'm not living in Massachusetts, at least the Patriots. I love the Red Sox, don't get me wrong, but I just don't have the time to commit to watching that many games throughout the season. So I just have to watch, highlights. And the way they're playing this year, I don't want to watch the highlights because it sounds like they're doing terrible. But I look forward to football. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I never liked it ever until I moved away. Pretty much. I'd gone to Super Bowl parties back home just to hang out with my friends, but I don't give a shit who won really. I still don't really care who wins, but if anybody's going to win, I'd like it to be New England. I love New England. No incense tonight because I forgot to grab an incense. It's too bad. I like to smell things. Like people's fingers. Go up to the store tomorrow and smell someone's finger. Go ahead. That was on Impractical Jokers. How awkward would that be? To be okay, go smell that person's fingers or we're gonna light you on fire. I don't know. Well, maybe not light you on fire, but you know what I mean. Anywho, this has gone on long enough. It's been fun though. This second one is definitely hit it out of the park. I'm judging myself now. What'd you get tonight for score, Mr. Oliver? Well, if I had to review tonight's show, I would give myself a good 93. That's right. Whenever I can smile and laugh, I'm hoping that someone's smiling and laughing with me, Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. This one's to you. Clamlosy, Mr. Nichols. Oh, I haven't told a Mr. Nichols story. They need to know the Mr. Nichols. You know what? Let's run with this. After said incident, or maybe even before, I don't know, the trip to SPIDERGATES, I had a feud with Jess Carlozzi, just for fun, just to be stupid. And so, she would do something I don't know why I was emotionally attached to this board. It was a 1x18 or something, maybe 4 inches across. And I used to just use it in windows because it was perfect height to hold up windows in Massachusetts. Our house was so old, it used to run on a pulley system, and that horsehair rope was dead by then. So you could literally see outside from the bottom of my windows in Massachusetts, they had cracked so bad. The house was going downhill quick. We were lucky to get what we got when we got and got out. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for the investment, my grandparents. Anywho, we had this feud going. So I don't know what the first strike was. I'm sure just poured coffee on my floor or just something, and it probably escalated from there. The few events that I remember happening, it got crazy to the point where she was sending letters with all the letters cut out of newspapers and magazines. I'm talking full letters here. They kidnapped the organization Mr. Nichols, kidnapped my son, Mr. Board. I don't know where this is going. I know this is crazy. And my organization was GAWD, G-A-W-D. I never came up with the term of what it would mean. I just thought it was interesting. So it was GAWD versus Mr. Nichols. I kept all the letters and stuff. I have them in the attic. And so she had done some bad things to me, but nowhere near. Because, the shit I did is memorable. I remember that stuff now. I'm sure she did some horrible stuff, but I can't remember what it was. But I remember I built a coffin Mr. Nichols was her goldfish that she claimed that I killed or something. Maybe that was how it started. I can't remember. And so I made this coffin, and I put a bunch of sardines in it in the back of her drawer. I don't know how long. Oh, sardines in mustard, by the way. And they sat there until I think she finally smelled them, and then she pulled it out. Here's this little coffin with dead fish in the back of her drawer. I know there was some terrible retaliation from that, but I can't remember what it was. And then, so whatever the retaliation was, warranted that I went over to her house early before she got out of work. In lighter fluid in the bedroom, on the floor, in the carpet, I did a pentagram with a line of lighter fluid coming to me. And when she walked in the door, I was like, "Oh, hello." And it was just like, and it worked perfectly. I was shocked at how well it worked. And then I realized that the floor is on fire, like a lot of fire. So we get it out relatively quickly. And you think that would have been it for the night. Like, I felt bad because it burnt into the rug, and they were just renting this house. But oddly enough, the person they rented it from, Rob Andrade, I think his name was. Rob something. We had the same birthday because we went to school together. Anywho, so that was pretty bad. Then I preheated their oven, and I took one of her drawers out and dumped it all over the floor, and I stuck it in the oven, and then I forgot about it. We were all hanging out, probably drinking or something over there. This is when it was Dan and Brad living there. And all of a sudden we were like, "Do you smell that?" And I think if the fire alarm didn't go off, I remember thinking, we're lucky it didn't. Oh, the batteries were probably dead in it, because God forbid they would ever change the battery in their smoke detector. That house was a disaster at times. Anywho, so, holy shit, the draw's on fire in the oven. So I think we pulled it out and stuck it right in the sink and put it out. It wasn't a big deal. But, yeah. You know what I need? And you know what I need? Do you know what I need to do? I'm going to do this. Alright, I gotta cut this. This is going on really crazy long, but I've got so many good stories to tell. Well, it doesn't matter because I forgot it anyway. The draw's on fire. It went out. Oh, I have a video. It's about 15 minutes long. I've never uploaded it, but it's on the Tribute to Jason DVD, which has the full live performance of Lunch Meat Circus from the CVM TV show. It's got the Tribute to Me video. It's got the Gray Shine, the time that Rhode Island station we were on. It's got that video that RC got lost and didn't make it, and we had to play without him. And it actually was like a epiphany moment. Like, it sucked that he didn't make it, but I don't know. I'd like to talk about the history of Lunch Meat Circus. That was the first real band that I was in consistently for a period of years. I always wanted to do a reunion. I really like that music. I like Gray Shine too. I mean, towards the end, the shit was amazing. I love that new stuff. SPIDERGATES, the story of just, it's Mr. Board. I don't know what Mr. Board is. I don't know if I have Mr. Board, or I think Mr. Board is lost to the ages, to be honest. My son died long ago. My first son, Mr. Board. He used to hold up windows for me. Anywho, wow, 24 minutes. Well, this reminds me of a lot of stories, because there was all these different groups of people that hung out, and I used to a lot of people would come to my house from both groups, so I think there was kind of a melting pot for a few years, so I got to know a lot of people. Anywho, it reminds me of a lot of stories, so I'll figure out some good ones to talk about tomorrow night, and I will be taking a night off to work with Jim on our secret project, our D&D project. So I'll try to stock up on maybe an extra video or something and put it up, or maybe not. We'll see what happens. Anywho, don't forget to try to make somebody smile tomorrow, and Let's make this world spin a little happier together. You and I, happier together. So happy with our block con. Alright, good night everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.